I'm putting out Jane's Gray. I'm putting out some ultramarine blue. I'm also throwing in, get this, some ultramarine violet.
I don't have that though.
You don't have to. You could just add a little red to your ultramarine blue. You don't need it. I am going to throw in.
Oh yeah, must be Payne's Gray.
Payne's Gray is fine. I'm using Jane's Gray.
You did say Jane's.
Oh, okay.
Jane's Gray.
I don't have that either.
Jane's Gray. The only issue with Jane's Gray is it is a mixture of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. That's what Jane's Gray is. So I don't have to.
Wow, that'd be convenient.
So I don't have to keep mixing it up. I just buy it that way.
Mix it together.
Yeah, but that's convenient.
And Davis was the one who taught us that.
It's coming your way.
I just want to try to hit this color. So this color in the background, up behind his head, up here, let's look at our, if we look at our color tree,
Yes, I'm like, okay,
you know, now this thing is a very dark color. I'd say that's an 8, maybe 7. And I would say it's definitely desaturated down to about a 5. So so I'm going to mix in some Jane's Gray to get it darker, and I'm going with just my ultramarine blue. I'm going to pull in a little bit of purple, my ultramarine purple, my salt, and this is something you don't have to do. This is in lieu of just throwing a little bit of red in there is all it is. And then now I'm pulling in a little bit of Jane's Gray. So here's my puddle. So you can see what I'm working with up here.
Jack, can you see how much paint he has? This is just
But it
his
doesn't look to
background.
me at all the color of the picture.
Well, again, I'm going for values.
Right.
He doesn't care about color. He likes.
I care about temperature and I care about value. I'm okay with it being a different color. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Because the color on the book has more green in it.
It does.
You know, the Munsell.
And why? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the Munsell system doesn't talk a great deal about warm and cool, but you do, and a lot of people do. They make their choices based on that.
Yes.
So, and you do.
This is true. I do. It's not a bad idea to throw some green in there, so we're going to put some green. And the reason why you want green in here is because why?
Green is complementary to red.
It's a compliment.
And what green did you put in?
I just pulled in a little. Actually, it's I don't know.
Okay.
It's my green over here, and I forget what it is. It's not. It's the
It's the other one, the serpentine.
it's jadeite. It's jadeite. So I just got my big Princeton Neptune mop out. You could use any, decent sized brush. You could even use a flat brush to do this if you wanted. So I'm pulling this down a little bit, and so I go right in, testing. I'll put a little on there, and I'll look to see, am I hitting the value, right? And I know I want a pretty dark value here anyway. Doesn't have to match the reference. And that's what I want you to do, is I want you to hit the reference color right off the bat. Now, am I worried about the drip?
Yes.
No. I just want it to stop. I'm gonna go over it in red anyway, so it's not a big deal. And look how steep I'm working.
I know you are steep.
I don't usually work quite this steep. I usually work a little bit less steep, but for you guys to see it, I don't want it to drip into the hat. That would be a problem. I don't want to have that problem.
It's good at grip.
We're going to stop it. Yeah. Now I'm going to start going a little more blue.
So how many colors darker do you have to start to make it the actual color you want?
It depends on the actual hue you're dealing with, because they're all a little different. Some will color shift more than others. So that's a very difficult question to answer. But I will say, on average, I'm going at least, like this is going to dry a lot lighter than it looks right now.
Like a third?
At least. And you can see how most of my pigment's already washing out, even though I'm at milk consistency here, you know. A lot of it's washing out. So I might have to go over this again. I'm okay with that, but I'd rather hit it, you know, you're going to have a much fresher look if you can get it on the first go.
Would you?
Now you're lightening it a little bit.
Yeah.
What's that?
Not
You're
lightening
lightening
that
it now a
much.
little.
Yeah, I am. I'm coming around to this side where it's going to be a little bit lighter.
Is it a different color or mostly just more
I'm going
water?
more ultramarine
Yeah, more
at this
blue.
point. Yeah, more blue. So I'm going from kind of a blue-green over on this side to kind of a more blue over here. And I'm just adding it in so it'll... So you can see I've kind of got a bead going.
Yeah.
But less than you usually do, because of the angle. And
Yeah, it's a
going
steep
into the hat.
angle, and I'm kind of worried about the hat. I don't want like that right there.
Yeah.
That's something I want to avoid. That's okay.
Well, it's navigating watercolor, so.
That's right.
How to handle the problem.
We just hit a rough patch. That's all
Right.
that. Just
There's
hit
no
a-
doubt that you'll figure it out.
Something will happen here. You know, everybody thinks that white is white and white is not white. There's going to be very few things on here that'll actually be white, and they'll be my hottest colors. But for the most part, there's going to be a lot of things that aren't very white, even though they're going to look white when I'm done. Or your brain will perceive them as white.
I'm already worried about his teeth. Look at, he has a lot of teeth. Teeth are hard.
Teeth are
He's
really
got a bunch
hard.
of teeth.
Yeah, he's got
Right
teeth.
up
He's
front
teethy.
teeth.
He's teethy.
I'm putting braces on him.
Hopefully it's in shadow.
You guys are
Close
not
his
done.
mouth.
You can't with that smile.
All right, they're looking pretty good. I'm not unhappy with that. Yeah, we're not even halfway to dry.
I can't draw four things. I can't draw things.
So I've said this before, and most of you know this, but
Yeah.
pencil, keep this in mind,
Pencil.
pencil, once it gets wet, it's there. You're not picking it up. So I'm not being hugely, you know, what's going to make this come out looking better is if I'm not real deliberate with my strokes. I'm trying to keep everything somewhat expressive. Right? Expressive.
If you glaze that with a green, would it turn a little bit more tealish?
It would, teal is a hard color to hit. You're either going to have it teal up front or you're not. I don't think it would turn it teal. I think it would turn it green.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you not picking up that bead, like on the top of his hat? That's okay for you? Like you don't think that'll create like some sort of water line?
I don't care if it does.
Oh.
Kind of
I
okay
need
with
to
it.
care a lot less.
Yeah.
Because I think
You know what? I'm going to tell you.
fussy.
This is something. This is something that we're all guilty of. You're going to go in there and start messing with it, and you're not going to make it better.
No. Yeah.
You're not going to make it better.
Okay.
Just add snow. The back.
So
So
I'm just doing this around his glove real quick.
Uh-huh.
If you really wanted to change that color, is there anything that would work?
Well, I mean, you know, sure, all of the color things apply here. So if I come at it with yellow, it's going to turn a green. If I go at it with green, it's going to turn a cooler green. If I go at it with, you know, so like if I want to make this teal, that would be hard to do at this point. I wouldn't attempt. So we're going to leave the background alone. We might mess with it a little bit more later, but right now I'm not unhappy with it. I'll probably darken it up back here a little bit more when I get there. So at the moment, I need to put in his skin tones. So what do you do for skin tones? What do you think?
This one crimson and
Yellow and red?
I'm going to start off with some yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre, that's close.
I'm going to pull in a little bit of New Gamboge, which is an orange. And I am hitting it with a little bit of light red from Holbein. But I mean, you could use any combination. Like you could actually use alizarin crimson permanent, which I'm probably going to put out here.
Which red did you have?
I have a little red called light red from
Oh, you don't have that.
Holbein that I like a lot. But really, truly, if you have any orange, it will do the same exact thing. That light red is more like an orange than it is like a red. I've got quinacridone coral.
Oh,
And
that's
I've
a
got-
good color. I have that.
And I have
Oh, maybe I have pink.
athraquinacridone scarlet.
Oh,
You
so
want
where did we buy the suitcase that you have all your colors in?
Yeah.
Home Depot.
I was kidding.
That's where I got it.
But we're moving there. This before we do that.
I'm going to do the yellows first. If you ever have a yellow in a painting and it's going to be layered or whatever, you're going to mix. Do the yellow first.
Okay.
Yellow should almost always be the first color. I'm not going to do it around. I'm going to work around his eyebrows because I don't want to get into his. I want his eyebrows to stay white. So I'm not going to get into those. But I am going to kind of do a little bit of, I'm doing some negative painting around the fringe of his hat and around his eyebrows. I'm not getting into the white of his eye. I'm definitely going to put some color in there, but it will be later. So for now, I'm just putting in this yellow. And I'm being careful where his beard and stuff is. So this yellow I mixed is literally a combination of all those colors. It's a little bit of mostly it is yellow ochre with a little dab of New Gamboge, an orange, a little dab of new red, light red. So we want his face to be nice and warm. It's going to have a lot of reds in it. So when I start going over its second layer, it's going to be the reds and the oranges. I'm going to pick up a little bit for his cheeks, and right above his eyes, for his eyelid, right in here. So I just rinsed out my brush and now I've kind of got mostly water in it and I'm just fading in some of this stuff here. And I just picked up some red. I'm going to make this side darker because the whole side of his head is darker. I'm gonna go in here and put in a little.
And are you mostly using that anthraquinone scarlet as your added red, or a combo of red?
It's that anthraquinone scarlet. I'm putting in a little bit. This is just mixing in a little bit of Jane's Gray to darken it up a little bit.
It looks very dark.
But it's a shadow. It's the shadow I'm going for.
This is really red in all these.
Yep, very, very red. Very, very red.
Which shows
Oh,
his other
Oh, that'd be
paintings.
nice to have like.
It almost looks like he has the
Because I
sun.
went online, but it's not the same.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
better to see.
And
You don't like it. I love
it
to
works
see it.
really well in the print, you know.
I really like them because there was all the Christmas stuff that I saw. That had
Thanks.
Is that blue? Do we do 17 straight for the shadow?
Yes. I'm just almost going in with, just mixing in some Jane's Gray into my puddle here, making it darker.
Whatever this is, I don't remember when I look at it.
I think you got it in something else. But this is the color we use, but it's not this picture.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought the Thomas Kincaid painting was a lot of fun to do. I was real happy with how it came out.
Is your Santa picture from your book?
No.
No,
Okay.
no. My Santa picture is something I got from doing a search for open source Santa photos.
No. He's using the colors from the book though.
So I don't know if you're paying any attention, but I'm now going after the shadows on the face, doing the shadows. And that really kind of helps give him all these dimensions, you know. Helps it start coming together a lot better. Trying to get as much as I can in the first pass. I want to try and get as close to where I'm going in the first pass. So I don't have to go back in and darken it all up later. Yeah, so it keeps drying really light. Really frustrating. You gotta keep going at it.
Santa. He's got a guy liner. Oh,
He looks like a pirate.
Yeah, like he's got guy liner on, like Tom Duck. Pirate movie.
But I have to get that matte glass. Then I went to get something glass.
Maybe that white eyelashes and his beard and his hair's white.
Probably. But I didn't see any on here, so I didn't put it in there. My fault. I missed that.
And I bought cheap acrylic crack paint, $1.25 for each color, 3 color fabric, green. I have acrylics, so I try them over. I studied them. I did wash.
It's Santa.
It was in too thin, but it was thin, it didn't cover well, it looked streaky, and it was thick. It was hard to paint with, you couldn't want to use a brush. Anyway, I'm gonna try it there, because I'm very, I think it's like perfect. And I can paint someone in there. My girlfriend sent me, she's like, what's your tree? Because I got her one last week. And I'm gonna actually have a snowman, I found this, look, she said, send me the picture.
Yeah, we're starting to see a Santa kind of come out there. Yeah.
Are you doing the glasses?
No, I decided not to do the glasses.
Thank God. So hard. There's only so much, right?
I didn't shy away from them because I thought they were hard. I shied away from them because I didn't think it added to the painting. You know.
Glasses started with Jerry Garcia.
That's true. Take it through there, I'll wait till the end.
All right. Definitely made some progress.
That is really dark. It is, look at that, how dark it is.
This one right up here?
Yeah, but it looks like his eyes are not gonna be as dark as his. We'll see.
It's hard to tell.
Oh, yeah, Denise could never do that dark.
This is original art.
Yeah,
Digital art.
very difficult.
Digital art.
It won't be as hard as you
Okay,
think.
well,
I can't even see it. It looks like it's.
I'm gonna show you how to do it pretty easy.
what is
All
that?
right, okay.
I'll do that
I
bad.
guess it's a house with some smoke coming out of it.
Oh, no, I can't tell what it is.
Yeah, it's a night shot.
Oh, well. Not good lighting for whatever it is.
Well, sometimes you see such dark
Winter
artwork.
blues.
Okay. So I'll show you something about the beard. I'm gonna let that dry and then I'll come back at it for the next layer. Oh, I forgot something. I want to get his lips and his chin in there because it'll be hard to.
Are you gonna put more red on him?
Yeah. Why do you think he doesn't have enough red?
No, he looks like he's.
Right here, it's not as red as the photo. The picture looks more red. Yeah.
Not as flushed.
I was gonna say, I don't care what the white man says, because Santa Claus is a black man.
I missed that. What did you say?
I said,
It could be a Santa of a person of color.
Oh, I see.
Did you see the AI Jesus that they have in the church?
oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, it's saying that. He definitely looks very cool.
Well, what, Santa, Jesus can be any color anybody wants them to be, you know?
Up at CVS, they have a Hispanic Santa this year.
There you go, see?
He's got a sombrero and everything.
She said, you'll get. Yeah. How easy is that? Yes, no, I know. It's just adjust it. It is, right.
Oh, I know, it's chilly outside.
It's terrible thinking of what it's like. It's very, right, I know, it is hard. I get it.
Anna, you're not,
No,
you're not.
I really need. What I really
Tennis balls,
need.
you could do tennis, and, you know, different tennis. What's that? It's not the leather.
This is 11 by 14.
Flatter.
Well, I think that.
You still have them? Oh, is that?
11 by 14. Are you looking at the art?
I have some glass. I have some tennis.
Maybe they just
I
ran
got
out
it.
of it.
Right, I like them.
I looked at it. Kept looking at it.
Were you Jerry's? Where were you?
Here, you don't make that sharp line over your lips.
No. No. I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah, some of the art stuff is not inexpensive on Amazon.
And we're keeping the very sharp distinction between the background and
Kind
his
of shop
hat.
around.
We're not gonna blur together.
Nope.
No soft lost and found edges. It's
No.
hard.
It's all chroma.
High chroma, high, it's an illustration almost.
We can just do with Amazon.
I'm definitely picking
We're
it
not
up.
making you nervous, are we? We're all hovering over his shoulder.
Isn't it neat to see him come to life? It's almost like,
Yeah.
he looks like he's alive now.
I'm very intrigued by the fur now that we're close. I'm like, yeah, that fur is scaring me.
You're not gonna do the glasses?
No.
Okay.
All right, no glasses.
I was
All
like, how are you gonna do
right.
the glasses?
You can do the glasses if you want to do the glasses. I am
Yeah,
not
but at
doing
this
it.
point, it would be, you couldn't.
Alice already.
I am not.
It's really good.
All right. So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, and then I'm going to. I'll show you how to do the fur and let it dry before I do anything else to that. And then I need to let it settle out and see where the values are. It's going to be good. All right. So first is I'm going to go in here and get this a little bit darker. And what I want to do is I want to save this white highlight right along the top edge of the hat.
Okay.
That's going to actually be a pretty significant feature of, because it's backlit. And what do they call that? Compte de jour? Backlit. So I'm just coming in here and I'm changing the value of all of this right now. So really And you can see I'm using a flat brush, and I'm just letting the brush itself suggest the fur.
What color
It's a very hard color to say what color.
It's James Gray. It's just pretty much James Gray.
Okay.
So I want my brush to kind of be flat.
This is not my strong suit.
And what am I doing? I'm suggesting detail. I'm not doing a lot of work here.
No.
Are
But
you varying the pressure on your brush?
not by a lot. But if you step back and you start looking at this, what's it look like?
Yeah.
And and here's the most important thing. Don't overwork it. You're gonna be, I guarantee I'm gonna come by and y'all will have 500 strokes by now.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, yes.
Which one?
This is the way you do,
And you're going to keep it in gray. Are you going to add another color on top of it? Or
do
no?
I need to?
No, but I would be tempted to. Look at that. It's worth like a
Mistake
multiple
on
colors.
the
Yes,
end.
like on the
I
bottom,
could-
on the left, I think it's yellow.
I could pick up a little blue,
Yellow. And pink. Yellow, red.
but look what happens if now I'm putting blue in there.
Okay.
It's
gonna
gonna stop looking like a white hat in a minute.
Yes, I know. I'm tempted by red and yellow. Does it look all? Doesn't look.
Yeah,
Other
it looks like
colors.
there is some in there, yeah.
I think this goes back to his
Making
suggestion.
And that's my whole
right.
point,
It's the
is-
simplifying
it is-
decision making, right?
It is,
Oh, yeah,
your
I see
brain
red
is gonna start
and yellow.
throwing colors that aren't there into the mix.
You don't see it, Terry, you don't see the colors? You don't
Oh
see-
yeah, I do.
Oh, okay, but you're just making choices.
Yeah.
Making choices.
He's simplifying.
It's about the value.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And again, that's the most important thing about this is to hit the value.
Is that what you're gonna
It,
do?
it is not,
That puddle?
are we worried about it? We're so worried about it.
Worry about the puddle. I know, it kills us. The puddles kill us. So Terry, if we didn't want to do that James Gray, we could do a blue.
You could do blue. Although, to be honest, you're gonna make him look like a bluebeard.
Oh.
It's got a white dot on your screen.
Would you be kind enough?
And what about doing it reddish? That would look weird too. 'Cause
I
I'm
had
tempted
this.
to do it red yellow.
Try it.
I mean, or red yellow.
Try to see that.
Gray.
Thanks, appreciate it.
It had like a
Try it.
reflection. I
See how it comes out.
I'm afraid it won't come out well.
I know. All right, yeah. Listen to him. He's like you know how you
Go
tell a
ahead,
child,
try it.
go ahead, try
Touch
it.
the hot
These
burner.
people are
See
gonna
it.
have
Hey,
to do
you
it.
know what you're gonna learn faster from failing than you're gonna learn faster from accomplishing. So
Oh, and here come the eyebrows. Here,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
all with that James Gray.
Uh-huh.
this is all with the James Gray. And again, guys, I could go with other colors. I could get creative here. I could do some. Do I need it? To tell the story, do I need it?
This is gonna be the hardest part for me.
Oh God, yeah.
That hat.
Yeah, because
That's a great
your
picture
goal,
there.
your thought is let me paint it, and
You haven't even come to
actually
the
have to.
beard yet.
I know,
The
because
beard
now
looks
it's
harder than the
squiggly.
hat.
Exactly.
Yes, the hat.
The beard is a
Do you paint
nightmare.
any marine animals or anything like that?
Sure.
I think we needed with the rigger.
Send the beard. Right.
He's saying we're not going to be in there doing that with the ringer,
Isn't that what the class you were gonna do?
with the
Sea
4,000
turtle?
hairs.
Yeah, I'm doing a sea turtle this weekend. And I only had one person sign up, so it's going to be a one-on-one
A
lesson.
tough time of year.
I'm talking about fish.
That's at the art?
Octopus, things that are, we look at it. I think it's just because it's a tough week with Christmas.
I think you're right.
For some reason, I
Yeah.
Everybody's at parties and.
I'm actually tempted to go with
You are?
try.
Well, actually, I'm done with my eyes, so I can't. No, I'm just putting plugs in because I so he put plugs in. So okay, come. Gotcha. His face is getting whiter.
His face is really mostly
fine.
shadow though.
Yeah. If you
Except for a little bit of his nose and cheeks.
So the next meeting, that's gonna be in Chesapeake.
No.
No.
The next one we're doing is, everything is in,
The art center.
it's still at the art
On the
center.
15th.
Okay, I thought I read somewhere where it said the other one.
We are moving to the other one, but not until, I think the first meeting we do at the other place is going to be February.
February.
I'm not 100% sure yet. Find out.
The website says the meeting is this weekend.
Does it? Now I got to fix that.
It said it for a year.
Yeah. Did it?
It's where all the dates are. It's all kind
So in the photo, his eyes are, in my vision, all dark. Like you really do not see any white of the eye.
Well, you can if you get up close.
Oh, you can? Back from here you can. So are you going to keep white of the eye or not necessarily, or you haven't decided yet?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
You're making his lips gray too?
No, I just made the inside of his mouth gray.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back over that with some red.
All right, I see.
I just needed some.
Wow.
There's white here?
Don't you see? Okay, leave what we see.
I don't see white. I see the slightest blue. but I don't
Look, there's
actually
white
see-
right there. Yes, yeah.
I don't see any actual white.
Not white.
Well,
There's
the worst excuse you're ever going to give when somebody says something doesn't look right about your painting, and you say, "Well, that's how the reference looks."
I know.
Don't ever go with that.
okay.
That's going to be.
But then on the other hand, you're also not supposed to paint your idea. Like you know a tree is brown, but that doesn't mean you paint it brown. So like you know his eyes are white, but that doesn't mean you necessarily paint them white.
Then, no, I'm not going to leave them white. I'm
You
going
know what I mean?
to
Like
put
they
some.
say, don't paint what your head
Yeah.
says. You're supposed to paint what you see or how it feels. You're not supposed to paint literally what your. Don't be distracted by what your head tells you it is.
He is going to send that to us.
I know.
But sometimes it shows up here on our own phone.
I have a narrow
does.
window, but
I got it. I'm with
It's a
you.
really difficult time of year. Really difficult.
Oh, long.
It's not
It'll
gonna
be
paint.
long.
It's all going to look so different when the bright red gets added to it. Also.
I don't think it's like go back and touch it. I don't think I traced it very. I know either. Oh, what is this? All right, let me get the paint and take one with you.
So once you put the red in on his jacket and part of his hat, will you then put the red in for his skin to complement it?
Probably, yeah. I'll put some red in there.
Yeah. I mean, he has a shadow over his eyelid.
Right.
Super bright over here. So that's his shoulder.
Jesse's looking at this like, what in the world am I into here? What have I done?
What have these girls gotten
These, what did they tell me?
What's wrong?
We told our friend Jack, yo, you've got to come, this is great. And so this is her first session. And remember the first time we were all with you, we were all like, what is happening? And so this is our first set. We're used to it now.
Is she like didn't buckle up?
And she's like, what in the world?
Those girls
We're
did not
merging
want to
onto
be
the
on that.
information superhighway in a Pinto with a discolored door. Yeah, no, I'm.
So if we're finishing this before we come next week we're doing the, what he told us, what was the next thing we were doing? Oh, the wrong color, secondary colors.
Secondary colors.
But we don't know
But
what
we
we're
only know
doing
two of them.
secondary colors.
Yeah, I haven't told you what we're painting yet.
Next week.
No,
Are we
we're
actually
not-
going to
we're not
paint in
meeting
class
the
next
Friday
week?
after Christmas, or we are?
No.
You could be painting right now. I mean, I'm not, you know.
I haven't
No,
drawn
the
it yet.
27th we're not.
The 27th, we're not?
Correct.
And then what about after New Year's?
The first 3 Sundays? I mean, Saturday, Fridays?
Well, I have it as,
The 3rd, 10th, and 17th.
So we're no watercolor on the 27th?
no, but we have it on the 3rd.
Yeah, the 3rd, 10th, and 17th.
Not that, oh, and the 20th.
That's good, I have people in town.
Oh, we don't have it on the 20th?
We
either?
do.
No,
we
we
do.
do.
We do, okay.
These 3 and those.
Yeah, I gotta figure this because
We're just missing the 27th.
Okay,
I
yeah.
wasn't planning on having all my kids in town, but now they're all here.
Bring them to class.
I'm gonna.
That's great.
I'm gonna have all my daughter-in-law and both my daughters. I'll bring them all.
That'll be
Make them
fun.
all come.
That's wonderful, so we,
We'll bring cookies.
You have to babysit that day?
Probably.
Somebody do rumbles.
I love babysitting. My grandson is actually a really good
Family
drawer.
tradition for us for
He's
Thanksgiving.
gonna turn into quite the draftsman.
how old is he?
4.
Oh my God.
He's really good. I'm amazed that like he said, Grandpa, I'm gonna draw you an eagle. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's see an eagle. He drew a pretty darn good eagle. I'm like, wow.
Good at that below 5, and then he got older, he got less, you know, it
So
started.
one of the reasons why
Gotten away too much.
I needed to get this in because a lot of how I paint is I need to know what this value is going to look like here because it's all relational. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So sometimes I will put in my darks early because I'm going to base
Definitely.
Immensely.
I'm going to base a lot of my decisions off of that anchor dark that I paint. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Will you be able to send us this demo?
$5.
Well,
Six.
I'll take, you can go ahead and take that. I'll take his original painting home and work on it there.
You sure? Thank you.
You don't have it first.
So you're darkening behind that.
Oh, it's a rapid there. I'm like, that's what pulls it
Oh, you
together.
darkened it to red.
I see.
Okay.
And when I look at that, I'm like, I think it would be flat.
It didn't look like red at first.
I didn't know it went all the way that high.
so what's your impression of your first day in class?
I'm overwhelmed.
I know. Weren't we all? We just wanted to wear our paint jacket.
I know, I'm not dark enough.
I know.
Teaching in college time.
Are you overwhelmed in a good way?
Yeah, no,
Bring in some
I
new
know.
paint. Let him see
If
it.
the twitching stops, I'll be able to answer sooner. Yeah, this is amazing.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh, that just makes it.
Yes, it does.
What kind of red did you?
Shabam!
What red was that?
And look, see how it's bleeding? I don't care. Let it bleed. Don't go in and try and fix it.
Okay.
It's just going to make it look better.
I know, I like the bleeding.
Yeah.
Again, I don't like how sharp it was with the outline. That was worrying me, that it was too, didn't bleed enough.
Over here, I'm kind of making a soft
I like it
edge.
to blend, I don't like it to be
Right.
so hard. He mixed the red with Payne's gray.
Yeah.
Jane's gray,
Jane's
Jane's gray, Jane's
gray.
gray.
In fact, I probably need a little more red. I'll let that dry, and then I'll probably come in and put in a couple of dark folds in there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wanted y'all to see what
Very
this
happy Santa.
I love he's wearing a glove, so the paint is hand.
It's a warm red.
He didn't
might be
drink
his
it
own
because he
red.
drank
That's
it
right.
from me.
Yeah, we should have put, we could put a martini in his hand instead of a box.
So I'm kind of going up along this area.
Those actors-
Creative liberties, girls, yeah, right?
those actors, most interested
It
man in the
might be
world.
that Quinn, that one, it might be
The
the,
Quinn might be the
This is
most-
Quinn Coral.
Oh, it's Quinn Coral.
oh, not the anachrony
Quinn
scarlet.
Coral.
Cute
Okay.
coral.
It's not the scarlet.
I
It's
have
not
that,
the
but I might put something else in it. I don't like the
I like it though. I like
cute
it.
coral. I don't know if I have cute coral.
So really, at this point, I just need the red on there, and then I'm going to come back and put in the,
He did.
you know, I'll put in the folds and stuff after I get
You
the.
never dribbled.
Well, he left that empty, right? What size is your paper? Like, maybe my paper's bigger.
You must be bigger. I'm just doing this because it's
Wow.
obvious stuff.
I'm
worth it.
probably 85% done.
When I grow up, I want to be a
Wow.
It's amazing. He just painted that in like an hour.
There you go. And I could keep going, but I'm gonna find a stopping point here. And just edges. Remember edges. We want edges.
I have no faith with it. And dark. Can I even get it that dark?
No faith.
But Thomas can tell you when I sort of, oh, yeah, I could do this. This one. It's just a fun, we kind of love it.
Monochrome painting, and it has
I
so
want
few
to do, I wanted him to put it on my paper because I'm not in the class, so I didn't get the.
All right. What do y'all think? Good start.
Oh, yeah. Okay, take a picture, Betty.
Took a picture of the reference photo.
I told the class that I would finish it on Facebook Live. So here we are, ready to finish it up. So the assignment for this was to paint a high chroma painting. And a high chroma painting is a painting with the hues painted at their highest level of chroma, which is their highest pigmented level. So some of the best chroma paintings I could think of were the old Santa Claus Coca-Cola paintings. And so let's see if I can get it. There we go. So it's not glaring. And so basically, you know, we took a look at some of these paintings from illustrators from years past, and some beautiful high chroma paintings in here. And so the concept was we're going to do our Santa Claus in this sort of style. And here is the reference that I'm following for our Santa Claus. Let's see, there we go. And then this was how far I've made it so far. So we've got some, we made it pretty good. We've got a little bit to go. And so I'm happy you were able to join us tonight. If you're hanging out, after I got home, I realized after class yesterday that as I was painting this, my initial painting, especially when I went in with red, was I painted over what was his white collar. And so I taped this off a little bit earlier and lifted it, and we're back to white. But this was red just a little while ago. And aside from that, I did pick up a little bit because I thought his pupil on his eye had gotten a little big. So I picked that up. But so that's kind of where I'm starting from. And thought maybe you guys would just enjoy seeing this. So I'm going to get started on the beard and the white areas, his gloves and stuff like that. But before I do that, I want to take care of his eyes because, like I told the class yesterday, people will freak out if you don't finish the eyes. It just feels very unnatural to look at something that has incomplete eyes. So generally when I'm doing a portrait, that's one of the first things that I try to finish. So let's jump in there and see if we can't take care of the eyes real quick. So in the reference, the eyes are very dark, and that's fine. I don't want mine to be quite that dark, but I am going to make them pretty dark. I'm going to start off by just getting the corona of the eye the right size, and then I'm going to add, you know what, I think Santa, now correct me if I'm wrong, but most Santas have dark eyes. I'm going to make my Santa's eyes blue. And so there you go. There's some blue eyes for Santa. And this will start making him look a little less, I might have to come in and do a little highlight later. All right. I think we're going to have to come over a little bit more. There we go. Not too bad. All right. Hey, Judy. Thanks for joining me. All right. So now we're going to go in and add a little more shading in the eye. Basically using some Jane's Gray and a little bit of red. And I'm going to go in and add some of the shading around his eye. Make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. And his eye here. There we go. So just because of where the highlight is, he's looking a little cross-eyed. I gotta fix that. We don't want him looking cross-eyed. A little better. So I know everybody's getting ready for their own holiday season. Lots going on, and everybody's got big things happening. I do too. We just found out that my son will be visiting from out of town with his family, and we're excited about that. We don't get to see them for Christmas normally, so this will be a fun year to have them here. So this side of his nose is in shadow. Add a little bit more shadow on this side. And that way. Shadows give you form. And like I tell my class, a couple of different kinds of shadows. Right now we're working on contour shadows. If you can hear my dog, he's making some noises in the background. He's always making some noises. Always something going on. And All right. He's looking for something. So he's going to keep going. And again, I'm not trying to catch every single aspect of this. I am giving my interpretation of Santa in this case. And Santa's got some smiling lines over on this side. He's got smiling lines over here too, but they kind of are hidden in the dark. All right. At home, I get to work a little more leisurely in class. I'm usually, you know, having to explain everything I'm doing and answer questions. And at home, usually, you know, it's a little less demanding. If you've ever tried to paint and answer questions or explain what you're doing all at the same time, it can be a challenge. So yeah, my son and his wife and their kids are coming, and we're excited about that. We don't get to see them as often, so this is going to be a great Christmas to have everybody here at one time and get to spend it with the kids. That will be a lot of fun. This will probably be the first time we've actually had everybody home in a very long time, so that will be great. Looking forward to that. Going in and putting in a little bit of detail in his mustache, sell it a little better. He needs a little detail in his eyebrows. Sell them a little better, make them look a little more real. And like I said, high chroma, so all the colors are very turned up. They're hitting their highest peak of saturation in this case. Go in here, and one thing I learned, I didn't know this, but my class doesn't apparently like painting teeth. Apparently they mentioned that in class, and I was kind of surprised. Not that, I mean, I understand teeth can be a challenge to some degree, but sometimes I think we work things up in our head like, oh, this is going to be really hard. And usually it's not quite as hard as we make it out to be. It's just we don't feel confident about it. I think that's the more common thing. But maybe since I don't know any better, I have confidence. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure I can work this out. Just because I don't know better. And see, just in the little bit of work I've done, just putting in the shadows, putting in the eyes, all of that has helped kind of bring out a lot more depth, a lot more character. Made him look a lot more real. And we're going to keep going. All right. So now I'm going to go in here with the teeth. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow. And because teeth aren't as white as we'd like to think. So we're going to add just a little bit of a shadow on them. And that'll help tone them down a little bit so they are not quite so bright. And that will help make them look a little more real. Alright, here we go. And then we're going to let that dry, and we'll come in and add a little bit more pink to them and around the gums and stuff, and that'll help too. Alright. So when I do beards and hair and things like that, I could get real detail, but it doesn't need it. I think in this case what you do is you imply a lot with just a few strokes of the brush, and the more you get to where you're trying to draw or paint every hair, the less real it starts looking. And in this case, we just want to give the impression we're telling the story, and we're letting your brain kind of work out the details. Hey, Karen. Alright. She says, I finally found it. So, just going in and adding in some of the, to give the impression that we have a bushy beard. And this is the darker side of the Santa. So we're going to add a little bit more, because we would have a lot more shadows on this side. We'd have a lot more of that. We'll work through the beard first, and then we'll come back. And on this side, the light's hitting it more head on, so I don't have quite as many indications of hairs on this side. I don't need them, because there's really bright light hitting this side of his face. So we just need enough to suggest some lighter shadows. It's real easy to overwork, so you want to be careful as you do this. So right in this area here, it's the darkest part of the beard because it's in the shadow side. So we're going to add a little bit more on this side. And so this rim of white light right around here is a real strong indication that he's backlit, and so this would be contour, looking into the light, and this is a really good way of depicting that. So the light would be kind of coming from behind him. Right in here, it's pretty dark. So I hope everybody's doing well. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and a little bit of a comment would be great. That way I get a little bit of a kick on attendance, and Facebook will reward me with more views. That's how it works. The more people like it, the more views you get. Can you hear my dog squeaking? Just curious. He's a squeaker. There we go. Not too bad. Looking pretty good. I'm not unhappy with it. So I saw one person post, the whole class is working on this, so I saw one person post in our group how their Santa's come along. Looked really good. I didn't get a chance to comment on it. I think they were asking for help for something. I got to go back and look and see what it was they were concerned about. But a lot of times I think I'm just looking for a little pointer here or there. Somebody to say, oh no, that's actually looking really good. And a lot of this just suggested detail. Not even a whole lot of real detail in there. All right. So now we're going to come down here and do this collar. I did this with a flat brush, and I think I'm going to do it with another flat brush because it works. and if it works, why change it? So I got out my 1/2" flat. This is the darker side of the collar. In fact, this is kind of all in shadow right in here. And this is in shadow mainly because of his beard's all showing it to be in shadow. And like I said, this was all red earlier. I had to lift it, so this is what it looks like after lifting. Because all of this was red, the way I painted it in the class. This is all shadow. So does this look like the edge between his beard and his collar? Looks pretty good. I'm not unhappy with it. Let's see, hold on. Somebody's typing stuff. Let's see. Judy says, left cheek is so white compared to the left. Would you address that? So yeah, over here, I would say I am going to darken up the skin a little bit and add some more skin tone, and it should be good. Although what you're looking at over the camera is probably a little bit more brilliant white or lighter than what I see here in person. And let's see, Karen says, I was reading that the focal point of a piece should have the most detail and the rest of the piece should be less and implied. This is absolutely true. I would absolutely agree with that. In this case, the goal of this whole piece is to do a high chroma piece. We're learning about Munsell's color theory, and part of that is understanding hue, chroma, value, or hue, value, chroma. And so, yeah, the face is absolutely going to have the most detail. And then as you get out, it is more largely implied. I'm also mixing it up. You're going to see soft edges, you're going to see hard edges, you're going to see found edges, you're going to see, let's see, lost, found, soft, hard. Yeah, there you go. And so we're mixing it up. We have some warms, we have some cools. Definitely getting there. All right, let's see. Let's address the whole cheek thing and try to get it a little more rosy, a little more warm, a little less. Let's go in here and work on that. And yes, I'm still just using this flat. So I'm going to come in and just warm the whole face up. And that helps a little bit. We're going red. Santa's got some. If you look at, like I said, our what we're using for our inspiration off of this, it is the Coca-Cola Santa, and Coca-Cola Santa has some red cheeks, has some strong values in there. So we're definitely looking for that. And this is a little bit more red in through here. Sometimes blending into the darkest shadows is the hardest part. Getting it to actually fade at the right spot can be a real challenge. Yeah, like that. That wasn't good. I've got some kind of, there's a hair. Oh yay, look at that. Perfect. Well, might have to let that dry a little bit to do much about it. Or I may not worry about it at all. It's not horrible. And when it dries, it'll be alright. I'll come down here just a bit. Alright. Looking better. Oh. A little too much of a shadow. Hold on. We can fix that. There we go. So I'm kind of, the two reds I'm using is, one is a coral quinacridone and the other is permanent alizarin crimson. And they work well, playing off of one another. Not too bad. See, this is me finger painting. Didn't know you could paint with your finger, did you? Alright, we're going to let that dry a little bit. I'm just picking up a little, softening up some of those edges. Good to go. Alright. Go back up here and work on this collar just a little bit more. Don't need a lot. Not bad. Doing a little lifting, pulling out a little bit of a highlight there. I don't know why I didn't cover that earlier. But that, there we go. That's better. Not sure why I didn't do that earlier. There you go. All right. And making some progress. Hey Betty, good to see you. Glad you could make it. I'm just softening some edges in here. I don't want it to be too harsh, but I like his mustache kind of making a pretty strong statement right here. I'm good with that. All right, so while we're waiting for this area to dry, see how that looks when it dries. His face. We're just working. I'm going to go in here and I am going to add a little bit of blue to the whites of his eye, and that actually will help make it look a little more real, believe it or not. Probably went a little too far here. And let's see, we're gonna, I think we're dry enough now to where we can put in a, there we go. It helps if he has a pupil. Yeah. Better. Let's see, I'm going to go in and do a little bit of tooth work. Separate these teeth out a little bit. And there you go. I think we need a little bit of red gums. So let's see if we can get a little bit of red onto the gums. We don't want it too, you know, go a little orange red. Don't want it too red. Let's see what we can do here. Uh-oh. Max has found somebody to bark at. There's probably somebody walking by on the sidewalk. He has a commanding view of the sidewalk. And he's keeping us all safe. There are people out there trying to get us. And his job is to protect us. At least that's what he thinks. Oh, chihuahuas. Alright, let's see how we doing this. Alright, Max, that's enough. Helps a little bit. It'll dry lighter than it looks right now. Not too worried about it. A little bit of a shadow on this side. So we need a little bit of a shadow over here. Down in the beard. That'll help. Maybe too much. Maybe a little too much. Alright. Kind of bouncing around now. Working on a couple of different. Anytime I put on a really dark color like this, it starts off looking really dark, and then it will absolutely fade as it dries. That is one thing about watercolor, is it has a shift. So yesterday they were teasing me and saying that my Santa Claus looked like a pirate, like he had mascara on. But by the time it dries, it's not that bad. It definitely starts off looking pretty dark, don't it? Mm-hmm. Alright, making some progress. And yep, I think it kind of looks like Santa Claus. Definitely has a Santa Claus-y feel to him. Still want them a little more red, a little less yellow. So I'm doing a lot of glazing. Not always a good thing to do a lot of glazing. Sometimes it's not needed and you can overwork it. And I want to be careful because got a pretty good Santa Claus going. He doesn't need a whole lot of smooth, perfect. There you go. Looking pretty good. So Judy says the little bit of paint on the white between the beard and the hat made a world difference. Yep, right in here. Yeah, right in there. I think so. Help kind of define where the beard and the hat end and what's what. Made him look a little more real. I don't know why it keeps, all my color keeps running out on this side. So I'm adding more. Let that dry, see how that looks. Alright, we're going to come down here and do a little work on the hands. All we need is contour shadows, really. He's holding a present, and so there's a little bit of shadows in here that we need. And this is just contour shadows showing the shape of the hand and its kind of wrinkles and folds in the glove. And as you come down on this side, and not a ton of detail needed because, as we said, the further we get away from the point of interest, which is the face, the less detail we really want. I'm going to go in here and add some blue at the bottom here. Looks like I missed a place where it should be. That's going to be hard to match. Let's see. Let's see. No, too blue. Although, let's see. It won't be noticeable. At least that noticeable. Leave that alone, let it dry. And then we can come in and darken up the gloves and make that right. Okay. The present in this, in the reference picture, is kind of a real old-fashioned pattern, something or other. I don't love it. I might work on that. We'll see. I might go with a green present. I think that's a good idea because we need some green in this. And the reason why we need green is because green is the complement of red. And our whole, the big accent color we have working right now is red and blue. Green would be great. I don't know how I managed to miss that too. That's kind of an interesting one. Doesn't match perfect, but nobody will notice. Except for everybody. Everybody will notice that. Okay. let's go with a little green. I like the idea of green. But before we do that, I'm going to put in some of these contour shadows on the red on his coat. He needs some red shadows on the coat. He needs some wrinkle shadows. Make it look more like fabric. I'll tell you, drapery is one of the harder things to do, and this is technically known as drapery, to paint cloth looking natural folds and stuff. And it is no doubt a real genuine challenge. Alright. For those of you who stuck around so long, I appreciate it. Hopefully you're having some fun. I keep checking to see if anybody's making any comments or has any questions. And nothing new. Sometimes watching a painter can be really exciting. I wish I was more like Bob Ross and I had more, you know. Because watching Bob, you know, it's hard to beat Bob. He definitely had a way. Did you know that Bob Ross was once a drill instructor in the Air Force? Something about that doesn't surprise me. I don't know why. I think it's kind of funny. Let's see. Thanks, Joshua. Betty, just observing. I can appreciate that. Sometimes with paintings like this, you just got to remember to have fun. Just got to remember it's a fun topic and just have fun. Don't worry about it. And I think the more fun you have, the better the painting turns out. Just going in and smoothing out some of these lines. A little bit softer transition. I hear you, Max. He wants me to bring him up in my lap. And it's impossible for me to have him in my lap and actually paint at the same time. But he's making a big show of it. He's very demanding. Alright. Not bad. We'll let that dry, see how it comes out. Okay. Looks like Santa could jump out at the moment. Well, maybe. Okay, so my class is called Navigating the Challenges of Watercolor, and as I have let the Santa Claus sit for a couple of days and looked at it, the thing that keeps jumping out to me is I feel like his eyes are a little crossed. So I'm going to go in and do a little surgery, and I'm going to see if I can correct that problem. You know, a big part of painting is actually knowing how to correct things, and I think this is a really excellent example of that. And I will point out that in class, when I painted Santa, I accidentally painted over the fur on his collar, and so I painted all this red all the way up to the edge of his beard. And so when I came to my studio later and was looking at it, I realized that I'd done that, and I decided, well, I could leave it, and it didn't look half bad. I could have probably reworked it a little bit and left it that way. But I decided, you know, I'm going to go ahead and tape it off and lift it. And so I taped the collar off and I lifted it. And I talked about that earlier in the video. And I think overall the effect was much better. So correction there. So there's another area here that I feel like there might be a little bit of a correction that needs to be made. And so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to lift a little bit of the shading here on the thumbnail because it's a little too, it looks like a sore thumb or something. And so we want a little shading because there is a little backlit, but we don't want it to look too dark. So we're going to lift a little bit of that. So that looks a little better. And I'm going to clean this edge up here just a bit. You know, having a soft edge or two here and there is not a bad thing. It is more how we see the world and more how our eye is used to seeing things that we're not absolutely focused on. So like if I was focused on the glove, I would see it in total focus. But because I'm not totally focused on the glove, I'm focused on his face. If I leave everything completely sharp and leave it all very hard-edged, then it starts looking a little overworked. It starts looking a little too harsh. And so I'm going to lift some of those areas to make it look a little less worked, I guess you'd say. I'm also going in here and cleaning up a little bit of the edge here. Not that I really need to. I just feel like having a little highlight there is the right thing. That's where the highlight would be. And this area here around the thumb would be in shadow. So, but not probably quite as much shadow as what I made. So that's a little better. All right. So now, let's go back to the eyes. What are we going to do about the eyes? Well, the thing we can do is we can do a little surgery. So I'm going to tape off the eye with masking tape. This is just regular old masking tape. You could buy, and I'm doing a little extra here just so that when I get it wet, I don't want it to get on the rest of the painting. So I'll just hold a paper towel here as I'm working on this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to cut away the tape, and I'm not taking out the whole eye, I'm just taking out the corner of the eye that's closest to his nose. And so the problem was his pupil was a little too far over this way. So when I lift this, it's going to look awful funny at first, but we will fix it pretty quick. So first I want to show you, first step of the process is lifting out the paint that we already put in there. So I'm using a magic eraser, which is just a micro sponge, right? With no cleaners added to the micro sponge. It's got no detergents or anything in the micro sponge. It's just water in the micro sponge. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to lift this up. And the micro sponge will take this all the way back to white. It will remove all the pigment. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't have some impact on the paper. It will remove the sizing from the paper. It removes pretty much anything from the paper. But this is why we buy and use high quality cotton paper. This will save us a lot. So that it is durable and it can stand up to this kind of punishment, really. So now that we have that done, I can remove my tape. And this always scares my students when I do this. The tape adheres greatly, creates a great seal, but it is easy to remove. I think if you left it on for days, it might be a different story, but we don't need to do that. And again, high quality cotton paper is very durable. It can deal with this pretty well. There shouldn't be any issues with it. So there we go. All right, so now he looks even a little weird, but we're going to let that dry for a minute, and then we're going to come back and we're going to fix it so that his pupil is round again. Or his pupil is round again. His corona. And we'll clean up the edges so they're not quite so strong, and we'll get his eyes going in the same direction. It should look much better. Okay, through the magic of video, we are back and our paper's dry. It did a little hair drying on the paper, and now everything's dry and I can work on it. While you were off screen, I also did a little lifting of his mustache right here, and I think it gives the whole mustache a lot more balance and makes it come out a little bit better, which is what we want. Alright, so this, doesn't take a lot here. We pretty much already have everything going in the right direction. We just need a little bit of rounding on this corona here. So I'm using a brush that has a nice point. This is my Princeton Velvet Touch, which I really love because it holds a lot of water. It's all synthetic. It paints really well. But every one of these brushes, no matter how big you get them, have a fantastic point on them. And it lasts for a pretty good while. Points, usually brushes wear out fastest on the point. And so I'm just coming in here with a little bit of Jane's Gray and straightening that up. And you can see his eye is now a little too white. We don't want it quite that white. But I did move this over, and his eyes, I made them blue. So I'm going to add just a little bit more blue to the edge here. Whoop, too much. I didn't blot before I touched it. And we'll let that sit in there. It doesn't, kind of dark blue, don't need to go crazy here. And now I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and then we'll take care of how white his pupils are. And then we could probably do that now. So we just take a little bit of Jane's Gray, a little bit of blue, and we're going to go into the corner of the eye here, and that'll help give the eye some dimension. It'll show it as being round. Your brain will perceive it as being round, which is what we want, because eyes aren't flat and they're not just completely white. So make it blue because our background is blue and we're showing it kind of like a little bit of a reflection of color in his eye, and we're going to let that dry a little bit more before we do any more to it. Now, I could have come in here and fixed this whole problem with just some white, and that is an option. I'm not a gigantic purist that says, oh, I can't ever use white. I definitely use white as needed. This is a little Chinese white, and I'm taking it right out of the tube. And I'm going to come in here and give his eye a little bit of a highlight right here in the white of his eye. I'm going to do the same thing over here and give his eye a little bit of highlight in the white of his eye. And then I'm going to come in and, so just like I have a white highlight here, I'm going to give him a white highlight over here. And that helps put his eyes in the right direction. So everything's going this way and looks good. I think he's better off. We were a little cross-eyed before. I think I'm going to give him, this pupil's just a tiny bit smaller, or this corona is a tiny bit smaller, so I'm going to add a little bit to that. And a little too much water. Now, truth is, doesn't have to be perfect. Our brains will fill in the gaps. But eyes are definitely something that you need to be a little bit more specific with, a little bit more careful with, because as we all know, the eyes are the window to the soul, and if they look wrong, our brains will immediately pick it up. They won't. It will definitely be one of those things that is noticed right away. All right. There we go. So Santa's looking over this way, like who he's getting ready to give his gift to. And we're good to go. All right, hope you've enjoyed the Santa Claus. I have. I think it's been a lot of fun to do, and I think everybody learned a little something from the project. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Enjoy your Santa.